Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow, that was incredible. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Teresita McNabb. I'm the Senior Vice President of Clinical Services at Terrebonne General Health System. Thank you all for joining us today as we celebrate National Donate Life Month and honor organ, tissue, and eye donors and their families. Terrebonne General is proud to take an active role in advocating for organ, tissue, and eye donation, realizing the impact that it has on donor families, transplant recipients, and their families. It is through this dedication that we have taken the initiative to educate our community about the benefit of donation by collaborating with Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency, or LOPA, and Southern Eye Bank. Now our President and CEO, Phyllis Peoples, would like to acknowledge this special month and say a few words. Ms. Peoples?
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, it's awesome to see so many people here today to celebrate LOPA with us and Organ Donation Month. Many of you, it's nice to see so many faces. When we started this, it was about 14, 16 years ago, and we didn't have as many people who understood exactly what we were trying to achieve. We had a lot of advocates for this particular initiative, and I have to tell you, it has given us back so many things triple-fold, and you'll hear that, I think, through all the families that you'll talk through today. Unfortunately, it is a sad event, and my condolences go out to each and every family member who did go ahead and donate organs on behalf of their loved ones. However, the celebration of life is so much amazing, and it does so much for that. So today, we are going to do that in a celebratory manner, and you'll hear from each and every one. But I just want to thank them and all the people that we have here to support us today. So a couple of little points of interest that I want to make sure. For the last 16 years, Terrebonne General has set aside a day in April to recognize the importance of organ donation for those waiting on the transplant list and for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice and donated the gift of life. Just to let you know, across the United States, over 100,000 people are waiting for a transplant, and 2,100 of those are children. On average, 17 people die each and every day because not enough organs are available for transplant. In Louisiana alone, over 2,000 individuals are waiting for a life-saving transplant. 14 years ago, as I said before, Terrebonne General took a major step in our public's commitment to this initiative and unveiled our very special Wall of Heroes. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it, I invite you to, because it is down one of our main corridors, and when you go through it, you recognize the gift of life and what people gave up. And it's amazing to see those pictures and the people that you see on that wall. And we're able to give a gift of life through organ, tissue, and eye donations. Since 2008, as I mentioned before, the response from our community has been overwhelmingly positive. I'm proud to say our Wall of Heroes now has 173 photos, which includes our 2023 donors whose families are here today, with us today to remember their loved ones and celebrate their lives as well as the many lives that they restored. In addition to our Wall of Heroes, we support family by hosting honor walks. Our staff quietly line the hallways to honor the donor and their loved ones. For those of you who have never seen an honor walk, it gives you goosebumps, I have to tell you. When we know somebody will be an organ donor, our staff are called, and voluntary, of course, but they line the halls to help people as they go to surgery and just help them with the gift of life and just quietly be there as a support system. It's quite moving. It is very moving. While our grief of losing a loved one is immense and at times unbearable, it can bring comfort to know they're living on in a world and enriching multiple lives because of the selfishness shown in their own death. Today, we have a heartwarming program that will share firsthand accounts of how organ donations have changed our community. And just by the amount of people that we have here today compared to when we start, it shows we're changing one person at a time. So thank you for that. And with that, I'll turn it back to Ms. Teresita.
Now I'd like to invite Lana Stevens with the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency to tell us about LOPA and the meaning of Donate Life Month.
Good afternoon. My name is Lana Stevens, and my title is Community Educator and Volunteer Specialist. I cover this region, the New Orleans region, and the Bayou regions, to raise awareness and to get people to register to become organ, tissue, and eye donors. So I know that I'm preaching to the choir in here because we are people who support donation, but as Ms. Peoples just mentioned, the number is great and the need is huge. Myself at LOPA, all of our LOPA staff, our Terrebonne General staff who've been wonderful partners over the years, as well as Southern Eye Bank and many other entities like the Office of Motor Vehicles, hospital partners, transplant centers, things like that, all fall under the Donate Life umbrella. And the National Donate Life movement is all different organizations that support organ, tissue, and eye donation. And so, as you know, April is National Donate Life Month, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the 2024 National Donate Life Month artwork. The theming this year is Donors Are Superstars. It was inspired by the night sky and the billions of stars that make up the universe. Stars remind us that even in the darkest night, there is light. Your decision to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor gives hope and light to those 100,000 people on the national transplant waiting list who are waiting for a second chance at life. And that's why donors are superstars. So again, I thank you again for being a part of our presentation today. We're looking forward to celebrating with you. And I definitely encourage anybody who can to go and please view the beautiful Wall of Heroes that they have here at Terrebonne General. Thanks again.
And next we want Bailey Dunn with Southern Eye Bank to come up and tell a little bit about eye donation.
Hello everyone, my name is Bailey and I'm the Partner Relations Specialist with Southern Eye Bank. I want to thank LOPA and this wonderful hospital for allowing me to express how much gratitude we have to each and every one of you, and as well as the donor families, of course. None of this would be possible without all of you. This past week, I was able to speak with a sweet lady whose mother had been an eye donor. And as she reflected on her mother's life and the impact that she had had on so many people, she shared some words that really resonated with me, and I wanted to share them all with you as well. She said, "I want others to know that not only did my mother's eyes give the gift of sight, but we received the greatest gift of knowing that even in her death, she continued to love others." And I think that's what it's all about. And so today, as we gather to honor these amazing donors and their family, and also the staff here, who've selflessly given the gift of life, let us also encourage our friends, our families, and our communities to join the registry, to become heroes in waiting, and to ensure that no one ever has to wait in vain for a life-saving transplant. Thank y'all.
Now, I have introduced some very important people so far, but the next two are really what it's all about. These two mothers are the stars of this program, or more importantly, their children are. And first up, I'd like to introduce Taylor Bergeron, who is a donor mother. I want her to come to the podium and share her experience as being the mother of a donor.
Good afternoon. My name is Taylor Bergeron. I am a donor hero mother. I am a Terrebonne, actually a Houma resident now, and my husband, Christian Bergeron, who is from this area. A year ago, our beautiful daughter, who was 3 months old at the time, was found unconscious at her babysitter's house. She was transported here to Terrebonne General, bringing back her heartbeat in about 30 minutes of unconsciousness from what we know of. The doctors here at TMGC, they stabilized her, suggesting that we fly her onto Ochsner main campus for some more help and some intensive care over there. So our daughter Eleanor was flown to Ochsner main campus on Jefferson, and for 3 days, my husband and I, we paced the room of the PICU, and we just waited for answers. That's all we could do. Many medical staff, just like you guys, coming in and out, looking for anything that could have caused her to become unconscious in the time. And it was 3 days after that she was there that unfortunately some EEG results came back showing extensive brain damage from the lack of oxygen during her time, and it was determined that she wouldn't make it out of her coma state. At this time, a LOPA representative walked into us and graciously greeted us and just explained what organ donation can do for other people and for our family. And we knew we wanted to make a change for sure. So since birth, Ella made a lasting impression on everyone that she met locally and just around the state. People always telling us like how lucky we were, how beautiful she was, what a gift from God to have such a happy baby, such a sunshine, a ray of light. These are terms that everyone used to describe her. And we knew that she was brought to us here for more than just 3 months on this earth, but a lifetime of beautiful memories, and now the gift to continue to shine in other people's families through donation. So just to tell a little bit more about her story is we know that her kidneys went block to a 50-year-old man in Texas. And if you don't know what that means, is they went together to one person who now gets to see his children and his grandchildren be raised, and how beautiful is that? We know that her heart valves went to babies, up to 3 babies. We haven't quite heard who they went to quite yet. It takes almost a year to know, but I just stop and think about those mothers that get to know that they get to hold their baby, hopefully for the rest of their lives. Definitely something that I cherish even to this day. So that's the lasting impact I can say that donation has for not just our families, but for others. None of this would have been possible without local law enforcement that responded, the fire department, you here at TMGC in the ER. You guys were amazing. Thank you so much. Ella's babysitter also, that we were told over and over and over, had she not known CPR or responded with other little kids running around in the great ways that she did, we would have never gotten a chance to say goodbye, nor getting to help someone else's family. So it's you guys that we want to thank the most. You guys deserve the biggest round of applause. So I just ask everyone here today to be a light and someday get to help another person's family through donation. Thank you.
There are no words to thank you enough for sharing that story with us. Next, I'd like to welcome Laura Lee Adams to the podium, as she would like to share her experience as being that of a recipient's mother.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you all. Thank you, Terrebonne General. Thank you, LOPA, for honoring the donor families, parents of heroes, children of heroes. I'm honored to be sharing the recipient's story, Bailey's story, his journey to transplant. It is so appropriate and poignant that I share it here today at Terrebonne General, because his life story started here at Terrebonne General on June 14, 2001. We walked out of here with our family complete, the perfect family, you may say, a boy and a girl, and we thought our life would be perfect. Boy, we're in for a journey. Today I stand here grateful for the wonderful medical staff in Oshner, Maine, and advances in modern medicine, and of course the priceless and heroic gift through organ donation that I can say that we are still a family of 4. It is because of this gift that Bailey is here today. 3/13/23, our prayers were answered. Bailey got a heart. But I need to backtrack and tell you a little bit about Bailey. You see, his story is not the normal person needing an organ. He wasn't born with heart failure or heart problems. His heart damage was caused by COVID. From a matter of days, his heart went from good to not good. And we were told that he needed to be airmed to Oshner, Maine, because he only had 5% of his heart working. 5% of his heart working. How is this happening? How is my 21-year-old in heart failure? Whew. It wasn't a good day, that January 25th, 2023. He had always been a healthy kid. No broken bones, no tubes in the ears. I mean, how could this be happening? Unreal. Well, you see, he was in cardiogenic shock. And when he arrived at Oshner, Maine, they had a shock unit waiting for him. I didn't know what a shock unit was. A shock team, excuse me. I Googled it. I was scared. I Googled it. I was scared when I found out what it was. Shane and I, my husband, we took off right after he was air med and was headed to Oshner, Maine. Our daughter, Taylor, works in the area, and she met him there. She saw the helicopter flying over. She said it was such a surreal feeling knowing that her little brother was up there and not knowing what was going to happen. She said when he got to the cardiac unit, there was people all over, and they started working on him immediately. He said the doctors pulled her aside and said that his heart was not pumping enough to support his organs, and his organs were shutting down. And they talked about inserting a pump. The doctors then came back into the room and met with Bailey and Taylor and said, this is what we're going to do. We think that you need heart support, and we're going to put a pump in. And he asked, is there any questions? And Bailey said, can I take a shower? And they said, no, we're going to wait to take a shower on that one. So Shane and I got there just in time to give him a kiss goodbye and walk him to the procedure of a heart pump. Heart pump procedure went well. The doctors met us and said, we just need the kidneys to respond. Thank God his kidneys responded. So the hope was that the balloon pump was going to be enough for his heart to recover. And with his heart to rest and the balloon pump doing the work, he would be able to come home and recover with his heart. That was our hope. It was not going to be our future, though. So in 8 days, he was unable to be weaned off the heart pump, the balloon pump. So it was time to put Plan B into action. Plan B was an impeller pump. It was a little more invasive. They would go in, but it would give him the mobility to walk around. But it was also at this time that we would start running the tests for transplant. We weren't very happy about that. We were in denial. We were scared of the word transplant. We really were. One of Holly's friends, my sister Holly's friends, came in. She worked on as a heart transplant coordinator. She came talk to us one day, and she started going into details about, you know, what's involved in a transplant, and we were like, oh man, why she's here? You need to get out. She doesn't know how close she was to being thrown out that room. We didn't want it. We said, oh, if he can just get it to 15%, it'd be enough. It wasn't. We were in denial. We really were in denial. So we moved on to the impeller pump, and the surgery went well. And the day of the impeller pump surgery, I looked at my sister Holly. We actually looked at each other that day, and we said, he's going to need a transplant. We both had come to the realization that his heart was not going to recover. It was too weak. It was too damaged. I mean, we were on the heart transplant rotation at Oshner, Maine, and we were thinking his heart would possibly recover. So our mind shifted, our goal shifted. It was time that we were going to focus on getting him listed. That was the focus. He got his impeller pump on the Friday, and the very next Wednesday they were going to meet to see if they can get him listed. They had ran all the tests, all the blood work that needed to be, and that was our hope that he'd be listed that Wednesday. Guess what? Sometimes God has a plan that you have to wait. And on that day we found out, when all the blood work came back from John Hopkins, we found out that Bailey had an allergy to heparin. And as many of you know, you have to be on heparin during transplant, during the bypass. So the surgeons thought at that time it was too risky for him to be placed on the transplant list because he would bleed out on the table. So we had to wait. It wasn't the easiest thing waiting. It was very hard at times. In fact, the Thursday after, the week after he got his impeller pump moved. It moved to the right side of his heart, where it was damaging the right side of his heart. You see, he had left side heart failure, and now his right side was damaged. I remember that day. Doctors flew into his room, started working on him. Oh man, Shane and I were outside just saying the Hail Mary. You know, what else can we do? Just saying the Hail Mary. The doctors got him stabilized, shifted the heart pump. Dr. Desai said, oh, he's going to be feeling much better. We got it moved. That was the problem. I felt good. That was Thursday. Friday was a pretty shaky day. Many of you know what CVPs are. His CVPs were up and down, maybe in the teens. A good CVP is 3. He actually got to Oshner's, Maine with a CVP of 27. So, you know, that was Super Bowl weekend 2023. That was the worst weekend. It was really, really bad. For people that didn't want to think about heart transplants 2 weeks before, we were praying that he could get on that list, because he had no flows. He had that impeller pump was going off like you wouldn't believe. Oshner, Maine has these people dressed in red, and they do the codes outside. They do the codes for your non-critical departments. All day we had people in red sitting out his room, and he was on cardiac ICU. That's how bad it was. Dr. Desai stayed outside his room all day to make sure, you know, he can get stable, and she was calling to talk to the surgeons and pretty much pleading with them to get him listed because they didn't think he would survive. So they were going to try one last thing. Their Hail Mary, they were going to adjust some of the heart pump. And hopefully it would work, but if it didn't, they were going to take him back in. They were going to put a heart pump on his left side and a heart pump on his right side. Thank God the Hail Mary worked. And that was Saturday, and Sunday was a little rocky, But Monday came, and Monday brought him improving and him becoming stable. And he became stable for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Just the time we needed for his heparin allergy to clear his body and him to get listed. He got listed February 28, 2023. Oh, it's my favorite day of February. Week 1 on the transplant list, we got a lot of calls. He got a lot of calls for hearts. You see, he was the top A-positive person on OSHA's list. At the top of the list, I mean, he was in the most need. But you see, when we're charging you for hearts or any organs, your body size, your chest cavity, it all goes into play. So no matches came the first week. Week 2, Bailey's not as stable as he was the first week on the transplant list, and it's getting quite bumpy. And we're getting scared. We're getting real scared. Man, something needs to happen. March 12th, we get a call. We got a heart. We got a heart. Maybe it wasn't the best heart. You know, it had a little bump, a little something that could be cured later on, but it was a heart. It was a heart we needed. It was a heart we needed at the time. And and I'm so thankful for it. So on March 13th, 2023, he had his transplant. Day of transplant, I really wasn't nervous. We felt good. We felt good because he made it to transplant. We got the call. You see, organ donation is so important because some people never get that call. It was a good day. He did fine, came through. He even sang Drake to some of the people putting him to sleep before the operation. You know, his anesthesiologist kept coming back 3 days later to visit him. He really made an impression. But the surgery went well. Everything looked good. And I just want to stop and say, his heart came from Florida. And I'm going to tell you what, that's the prettiest sight I've ever seen, is that helicopter landing, and you know it's his heart there. His heart arrived about 2 o'clock that day. And it was just like, wow, it's here. It's here. So we got our heart. He's doing really well. I'm so thankful for organ donation. I'm so thankful for his donor. You see, we kept praying for a miracle. We kept praying for his heart to recover. We wanted that miracle for his heart to recover. But his donor was our miracle. His donor is our miracle. And we honor her today by sharing Bailey's story. And I just want to thank y'all so much for coming out here and showing y'all support for everything that we do in LOPA and organ donation. I'm proud to say that on April 4th, 2023, we walked out of Oshton, Maine, still a family of 4 because of organ donation. Oh, and by the way, Tracy that almost got kicked out of his room that day, she was his transplant coordinator. So I honor his donor today. And honestly, I don't know much about his donor. I know his donor came from Florida. I know his donor's 39 years old. And we're pretty sure it's a woman. That's pretty much all we know. No one has reached out to us in over a year. I haven't been able to hug their family and say thank you. But I get to see him live every day. I get to see him coach again. I get to see him this summer participate in the transplant games. And that's the gift. Life is a gift. So thank you. We honor his donor today. We honor all these donors today and every day. Thank you.
I had the honor of meeting Bailey. Wonderful, wonderful young man. But please, if you have not registered to be a donor, if these 2 stories, these personal contributions from these families don't convince you, I really don't know what would. I'd like to have our poem readers come up to the podium.
My name is Lisa Lorette West. I work for LOPA. I'm this hospital's donation services coordinator. In a couple minutes, we're going to all proceed outside, raise a flag in honor of all our heroes in the celebration of life, and then hand out butterflies for donor families and recipients to release. But before we go lift the flag, we just want to, say exactly what that flag represents. And well, that depends.
To the common passerby, it's a reminder that life isn't everlasting, and we will most likely all, at some point, be faced with the decision of whether to change lives through organ, tissue, and eye donation.
To the hospital staff member, the flag is a symbol that they can take pride in, knowing their institution supports the life-saving work of donation and transplantation in philosophy, policy, and action.
To the nurse, whose feet are tired after spending long 12-hour shifts taking care of a donor, this flag is a thank you. Thank you for having compassion for your patient's grieving family, and the several lives your patient will hopefully change through organ and tissue donation.
To the donor family, this flag is a representation of many ways their loved ones continue to live on in this world. Not only in our hearts and minds of those that personally knew them, but the quiet gratitude of complete strangers touched by their generous gifts.
And finally, to recipients and to those that continue to wait on the transplant list, this flag is a beacon of hope, a reminder that there are people out there willing to say yes to organ and tissue donation and capable of reaching through that grief and to help someone in need.
Today you heard firsthand stories about the importance of organ donation. If you are not an organ donor, we encourage you to add your name to the donor registry. It is also imperative that you speak to your family about your decision to be a donor and make sure they understand why the gift of life is so important to you. We will conclude our ceremony with our annual flag raising and special butterfly release outside. We invite family members of donors to take a butterfly and release it in honor or in memory of a special loved one or a friend. After the butterfly release, we'd like to continue the celebration. Please enjoy some refreshments and then take a moment to visit the Wall of Heroes to view your loved ones. And our beautiful Eleanor is on the wall, so we'd like for you to go and see her picture. Thank you all for sharing Terrebonne General's passion for the importance of giving the gift of life and reflecting with us this afternoon. Thank you.
The butterfly legend says if anyone desires a wish to come true, they must first capture a butterfly and whisper their wish to it. Since a butterfly can make no sound, the butterfly cannot reveal the wish to anyone but the Great Spirit who hears and sees all. In gratitude for giving the beautiful butterfly its freedom, the Great Spirit always grants the wish. So according to legend, by making a wish and giving the butterfly its freedom, the wish will be taken to the heavens and be granted. I also would like to remind you, I picked up the butterflies this morning from the butterfly lady, and she wanted me to remind you all to be in the moment, to be still. Some may fly off right away, some may take a minute, so just enjoy and embrace that time with it, and just know that, it'll go on its own time, but just be patient and be still and enjoy it.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bourke, know your rights.